Hi everyone. It's Kendrick from Providence Tarot. Once again, there's a cat here. So now I am going to do a Monday mashup for everyone, and these are just cards that I pulled from different decks, so that's why it's a mashup, and it's Monday. So I pulled some cards from the Urban Tarot. Also, I pulled a card from the Mystical Lenormand, and then I also pulled a card from the Oracle of the Radiant Sun, and then I also pulled a card from the Romance Angels Oracle deck. Now, I've seen all of the cards from the other decks because they kind of like were single, but the Urban Tarot, pardon moi, 3 cards fell out. So I just kind of put those face down together in a little bundle, but what I'm going to do now is read those cards first. So whoever finds a message that resonates with them, then this is the message that's for you, okay? So the Urban Tarot message, we got the Five of Pentacles, which is worry, which is what we were doing this week, right, as a collective in the weeklies, right? This was the card of the week for everyone. This is kind of like, your thought patterns getting the best of you, or you're sort of like staying in one place in your head about something that is, important to you, and it means something to your security, right? You're passionate about this thing, but it almost might be that you might be complacent in your spirit in terms of like what you're going to do about it, because it might be intimidating you, right? Because it's a fast moving planet Mercury in a slow moving sign of Taurus, and Mercury has to really slow down and look at the details of something, because Mercury can make accidents and create accidents for us when it's in Taurus, right, which is the second house of earned income. So this could have to do with some of you and the money that you might be dealing with, your financial situation. You're like, you don't know what to do about it, you know what I mean? You don't know if you should ask for more, or if you should look for another job. You might be feeling like you're just experiencing some challenges in terms of your money, or how you're going to pay for something that you need, right? These could even be, basic needs, because this is Taurus, and Taurus does rule the throat, and I feel like you might be wanting to speak on this or say something about this, but you might not be feeling in a position of power to do so, right? It might have to do something with authority, right? It could have something to do with the boss, because the 5 is related to the Hierophant, right, which talks about institutions and people that are in control of institutions, or people that lead within institutions, right? This could be, school. Maybe some of you feel bad about not wanting to go back to school, or maybe some of you didn't, register quick enough, or maybe some of you are worried about what classes you are going to register for. This could also even be kind of like your body. You might be thinking about your body. There might be some things about your body, injuries, maybe something that you might be feeling like you want to go get checked out. Maybe you just haven't been feeling right. Some of you might even be thinking that you might be pregnant, and you're worried about that. You know what I mean? Because the 5s do have to do with the 5th house, and that's talking about the sun, and that talks about, the soul and a life, right? This could also just have to do with you, your spirit sort of like feeling like slowed down. Some of you might be feeling like your spirit isn't really in the place that you would like it to be. Like, it could be re-outfitted, or like reimagined or repurposed, right? This is something that needs to be repurposed, right, that you're worried about, right? You need to find your purpose within this situation of lack, or within this feeling of lack, right? Um, Definitely. Some of you might even be feeling like you don't have all of the information in terms of something, right, that you see. It's almost like you see something and you don't realize why what you see doesn't match with what others see, perhaps, right? Because it is a 5, and it is the sun, right? Being that the sun rules the 5th house, but then it is also Taurus, so it's fixed. So it's something that is already there that you're just kind of like not seeing, right? Because it does have to do with boundaries and like margins, right? Like gates, walls built up, foundations, things like that. Something that is there. like institution, right? Maybe you need to go to an institution and figure some things out. Maybe you need to process something, maybe documentation, you know. Anyway, and luxury is four. That's the Four of Cups. This talks about emotional complacency, right? And this could be just kind of like complacency is kind of like luxuriating in a feeling that is like commonplace. You know, it's just kind of like not, you find yourself going back to this place over and over and over again, right? How you feel about something. This has to do with foundations, right? So here we go again. I'm talking about foundations, and then, you know, this 8, which is interference, has to do with power. So someone might be interfering with, you know, your power, or making you feel interfered by, you know, your misconceptions as to how you see your power yourself. You know what I mean? You might have a misconception, right? Right? This is like white noise, okay? It's kind of like not even really like focusing, or not even really like allowing something to kind of like, you're not getting the message, it's not coming through, right? So something is not coming through to you because it has been an interference. Also, it's kind of like you are interfering with your own, right? Because this is Jupiter and Gemini, so this is also talking about, you know, social media, and also the opinions of others, and, you know, like just things that like may not even be real, may not even be true, because the 8th house is talking about hidden things, you know what I mean? And this is air, so it's kind of like you can't really grab it, so there's no truth to whatever this misconception is about yourself, right? Because the 8s are ruled by, you know, the strength card, which is number 8, but in this deck it's number 11, right? So this, in fact, is actually kind of ruled by the Justice card in this deck, because Justice is number 8 in the Urban Tarot. So it's kind of like you're not being fair to yourself, because you are the person that is allowing this interference to happen, right? And now you're emotionally complacent because of it, and now you're worried about what you're going to do about it to make the situation better. But it's saying that you definitely should stand in your power and understand that there are things that you can implement and ways that you can assert yourself, because this 4 is also talking about assertion as well, you know what I mean, and what you are going to do about the issue, right? What are they going to do about that? Okay? And then we've got another card here from the Mystical Lenormand, which is, what is this card? Pelican Storks. Okay, this is the Storks card. This talks about movement. This also talks about, you know, a mode of the phase that comes after something has been created, right? Or this could even be like you finding yourself in a situation where you have to make a decision, or you have to make you have to act quickly. Some of you might have to act quickly on something. This even might be having to move, acting quickly on a move, you know what I mean? And then at the bottom of the deck too, because I pulled this from the bottom because that's what you do with the Mystical Lenormand, you also got another card that's a pelican. This is a stork, and this is a pelican. So it's talking about bird, it's talking about flight, right? This talks about responsibilities with work and feeling anchored down by work, and it might even have to do a little bit with time, you know what I mean? Because this is a 6, right? And that's talking about Virgo, repetition, okay? And it's also talking about doing a job well, and it's talking about you might have to just repeat something over, or you know, work might be getting in the way of you making this move, or you might have to find some way to make this move, you know, and make work move as well. So some of you are dealing with moving work and moving home, like place that you live, you know what I mean? And I think that from the Oracle of the Radiant Sun, you got concentration we did. So concentration is actually talking about, you know, maybe not trying to say all the things. This is kind of like, you know, keeping your mouth shut so that all of the things that are trying to create themselves are going to create themselves. Don't get in the way of the process. So that kind of has to do with that interference card too. This is Saturn in Gemini, and Saturn comes into Gemini, and it kind of like makes things feel a little bit heavier. It sort of restricts things a little bit more. So it is asking you to pay attention to something and not just be talking and getting yourself distracted over what actually is meant for you to see here. You know what I mean? Also, some heart-to-heart conversations need to be had from the Romance Angels Oracle deck. It says, honestly discuss your feelings with each other. So some of you guys may be feeling like you still haven't been able to discuss the true feelings that you have with someone out of a need to sort of like protect them from the truth, or maybe you didn't want to create a stir. You know what I mean? Because these cards do have to do with Aries, and this one does, and that might have to do with, you know, home, fighting at home or something like that, maybe you should just really try to focus on having it be a heart-to-heart conversation, really coming in with a sense of unconditional love and understanding, right, so that everybody can be heard, right, and it feels like it's being made fairly, all of the, comments. Part 2, because there's a card at the bottom of the Urban Tarot deck, and it's truce. So this is Jupiter and Libra. So a situation may have gotten out of hand, and now in order for it to reach a point of stability, there has to be a feeling of balance, peace, harmony, and just sort of like respect too, because this is a 4. So it's talking about respect being understood, respect being given, because Libra does want to give respect for sure, and Jupiter is going to give respect because it is a large planet. So this is talking about, abilities because it's a 4, and then it's also talking about foundations because it's a 4. It could be talking about businesses or executiveness, executorship, that type of thing. Someone who might be responsible for the growth of something, within a relationship, or this just has to do with personal growth and not allowing yourself to get too involved, number 4, with the growth of other people or with the growth of others, because you might be getting in the way of the growth of yourself, right? Because it's kind of like not allowing anything to interfere, and then you're not also interfering either. And this is the truth about something as well. And truth is truth, and truth is trust, and truth is truth, and trust is truth. You know what I mean? We're thinking of all of those things, right? And then the other card here that I didn't read because we were talking about, I don't know, because I was just trying to get the cards that I pulled. I wasn't really looking at the ones that's at the bottom of the deck. But now that I'm doing a part 2, then I'm definitely going to talk about the cards that are at the bottom of the deck. So, so with the Mystical Lenormand, I'm going to look at the one that's at the top of the deck, okay? So with this one from the Oracle of the Radiant Sun, it's just going with this information of concentration, right? And then you got endurance here. So really you just need to wait it out. You know what I mean? And really just use a level of strength, responsibility, accountability, and authority within oneself to not use force, right, against something, right? But also just kind of like save your energy. That's what it's saying, because the sun in Scorpio really says that you put a lot of energy or emotional energy into something that you probably don't have any control over, because it's an 8. You know what I mean? And it's talking about the 8th house of hidden things and also intimate relationships. You know what I mean? And it also talks about understanding that you're not meant to have an intimate relationship with some people or with certain people. You know what I mean? And you have to be able to endure knowing that and not allow yourself to get too involved or too emotionally involved with, just the doings, right, of other people. It doesn't matter, how, whatever you feel, you know what I mean? Because this is the sun putting energy into a transformation and putting energy into regrowth and putting energy into rebirth and putting energy actually into conceptualizing things, right, in a way that is responsible so that you can actually assert a level of appreciation, right, or assert the transformation out of an appreciation for oneself at 333. You know what I mean? So that's what I'm talking about there. At the bottom of the deck for the Romance Angels, right, this heart-to-heart conversation that I was talking about and speaking of earlier could even be leading to an engagement. You know what I mean? Or it could just be talking about engage so that you can have this heart-to-heart conversation that might need to be had. Or it could be saying that, a heart-to-heart conversation could re-engage something, to a higher level of understanding. You know what I mean? Because it talks about your love life ascending to a higher level of commitment. But, this could be committing to oneself. A heart-to-heart conversation. I actually had a heart-to-heart conversation with myself, over the full moon. Right? So that heart-to-heart conversation could be made with somebody. It could be made, with yourself. Right? Or with spirit, whichever. I don't know if this means anything to anybody. Innovation, Jupiter in Aquarius. This is kind of like the growth of friends, right? Having different sets of friends, not more interesting or not, different, but just kind of like an eclectic um, range of friends and friendship. You know, Aquarius ruled this last full moon that we were in, and also the moon is also rules Cancer, right? So it always is talking about something that's at the heart of us, right? Or it touches something that's in the core of us, right? In the gut of us, right? So whatever it is that's been festering down there, not festering, whatever it is that's been in that gestation period over the cycle of the moon, you know what I mean? The growth, right, of something. This Aquarius full moon really did let you see a different side of a situation. There was something revealed to you that just made you see things differently, and it's in a really good way because it is talking about strength. It's talking about cycles of evolution and things like that, and just kind of how you relate to your overall experience that you've had, right? And it talks about time because Aquarius is ruled by Saturn as well, and we have Saturn in Cancer right here, right? Which if you're around 40 or 41 years old or something like that, you or almost about to be, you might have Saturn in Cancer. And this talks about something with children. Saturn could be teaching you a lesson about children. Maybe you don't have those children yet. Maybe you're having to wait a period of time before you're able to receive that charity that life just kind of naturally provides to you, like that blessing, because charity is a blessing, right? So children are a blessing, and they are basically giving to you something that you otherwise would not have unless you were blessed with it. You know what I mean? So the thing with children is like the children come into your life when you're ready to take them based on the karma that you were meant to have, right? So you have to stop trying to force karma, because Saturn is talking about energy and force and strength, right? And then that talks about energy and force and strength and control and building something. You know what I mean? So something might have to be built before you're able to accept this blessing of having a child. You see the angels like reaching for the children, and this also has to just do with, right, look, egotism, right? You may not be ready for that. This is Mars and Leo. Mars is in Leo right now, actually. You know what I mean? So we might be dealing with some egos, or you might just be dealing with, needing to sort of like feed your ego with something. And that's why you might be being a little bit impatient with some of the things that you feel like you want, or some things that you want to create. You know what I mean? Because Cancer is a very creative sign, right? And the 4 is a very creative number, right? Talks about ownership of things, right? Definitely. And the moon is exalted in Taurus, right? So that's also I have. Anyway, I'm going very deep into that. I think that's it. Yeah, the Sun in charity, egotism, Mars and Leo. That's talking about fighting these obstacles and things, and feeling like you can push through whatever it is that comes your way, right? But it's also trying to maintain a healthy relationship with oneself, in terms of what you feel like you can do, and what you feel like you should do, and what you feel like you have to do, and what you feel like you're being told to do just by your everyday life. Saturn, Virgo season's coming up. There are certain things that we have to adhere to so that we can just experience our a positive rhythm in our life, balance, right? Beat. Okay, just try to be a little bit more on beat. For some of you, I'm trying to be a little bit more on beat. You know what I mean? With a lot of things, like just even personal things that I have to do in terms of processing, like money and shit like that. But yeah, some of you guys are thinking about moving. Some of you guys are feeling a little bit complacent because you're feeling challenged by for your finances and your money. You want to experience luxury, or you might be feeling a little bit too complacent within wanting to change whatever it is that you feel like is interfering with you and your mind and your sanity and all of that. Some of you guys need to concentrate a little bit more to create some innovation in your life. Definitely engage a little bit more and have heart-to-heart conversations. Tell people you love them. If some of you are thinking about moving because you just had kids and you need a bigger house, that's something too. And then some people are thinking about their jobs in terms of that. Oh, if we're moving because we need a bigger house, then what does that mean for me at work, dads? You know what I mean? Okay, happy Virgo season, everybody. This has been your part 2 for the Monday mashup. I'm gonna put it on Instagram, and I'm also going to put it on YouTube. All right, follow me on Instagram, Providence Tarot. I'm also NYC Kendrick. If you'd like to book a reading with me, email me at providencetarotkendrick@gmail.com. Okay?